The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and regret, but Marla Jenkins, 58, still laughed, her voice a cracked melody against the hum of machines. Her 5 adopted sons, now men, filled the cramped space, their faces a map of grief and gratitude. She'd raised them from the ashes of their pasts, and now, as cancer tightened its grip, they were her lifeline, their love her only medicine. Marla hadn't planned to be a mother. In her early 30s, she was a graphic designer in Portland, Oregon, living a quiet life in a craftsman bungalow, her days filled with deadlines and solitude. But in 2005, a chance encounter at a community outreach event changed everything. She met Caleb, a 10-year-old black boy with wary eyes, abandoned by parents lost to addiction. His foster home was a revolving door of neglect, and something in his guarded smile broke Marla's heart. She signed up to foster him, thinking it temporary. Then came Diego, a 9-year-old Latino boy, sharp-witted but bruised by years in the system. Soon after, she took in Leo, an 8-year-old Asian boy who barely spoke, and twins Ezra and Noah, both 7, one white, one mixed race, their laughter masking deep wounds. By 2007, Marla had adopted all 5, her home a chaotic symphony of boyhood. Raising them wasn't easy. Caleb, the eldest, carried a quiet anger, lashing out when trust felt too heavy. Diego's quick tongue hid his fear of being left again. Leo's silence was a wall, Ezra's recklessness a cry for attention, and Noah's endless questions a shield against pain. Marla, a black woman herself, knew their struggles weren't just about abandonment. Society judged their skin, their origins, their broken starts. She poured herself into them, teaching them to cook soul food, to dream big, to fight for their worth. Her home became their sanctuary, a place where they could be messy, loud, and loved. By 2025, the boys were men, scattered across their 20s, chasing dreams Marla had nurtured. Caleb, 30, was a social worker, his anger softened into purpose. Diego, 29, owned a food truck, his sarcasm now a brand. Leo, 28, was a poet, his words finally free. Ezra, 27, was a firefighter, his recklessness tamed by duty. Noah, also 27, was a grad student still asking questions now about philosophy. But Marla's diagnosis, a rare, aggressive leukemia, cast a shadow over their lives. 6 months to live, the doctors said. The boys rallied, moving back to Portland, filling her hospital room with stories, laughter, and unspoken fears. The first secret came on a rainy Tuesday. Caleb sat by Marla's bed, his hands fidgeting. "Ma, I need to tell you something," he said, voice low. "I'm gay." The words hung heavy, not from shame but from years of silence. Marla's eyes softened. "Baby, I've known since you were 15. Sneaking looks at that boy next door." She squeezed his hand. "You're my son. That's all that matters." Caleb's shoulders relaxed, tears mixing with relief. He'd feared judgment, not from Marla but from a world that hadn't always been kind. Diego was next, a week later, his confession blurting out over hospital jello. "I'm bi, Ma. Been with a guy for a year now. His name's Javier." Marla chuckled, her 4 lines shaking. "You think I didn't notice you smiling at your phone like a fool? Bring him to meet me." Diego grinned, his bravado masking how much her acceptance meant. He'd grown up dodging labels, afraid they'd cage him. Marla's love was his freedom. Leo's truth took longer. He'd always been the quiet one, his poetry speaking what his voice couldn't. One night, he read Marla a poem about a man who loved another man. his words trembling with vulnerability. "That's me, Ma," he whispered. Marla pulled him close, her frail arms strong with pride. "Your heart's always been loud, Leo. I hear it now." His tears soaked her hospital gown, years of fear dissolving in her embrace. The twins, Ezra and Noah, hadn't come out yet, but Marla sensed their journeys weren't far off. She'd raised them to question, to feel, to be true. Her only regret was time. Would she live to see them all whole? The hospital became their confessional, each revelation knitting them closer. But Marla's condition worsened, her body betraying the spirit that had saved them. Outside the hospital, Portland buzzed with autumn's chill. The boys took turns caring for Marla, balancing jobs and visits. Caleb organized her medical bills. Diego cooked her favorite meals. Leo read to her. Ezra fixed her leaky apartment sink, and Noah researched experimental treatments. Their bond, forged in hardship, was unbreakable. But the clock was ticking, and Marla's strength was fading. One evening, as rain tapped the window, Caleb brought Javier to meet Marla. The 29-year-old barista, with kind eyes and a nervous laugh, held Caleb's hand tightly. Marla beamed, her voice weak but warm. "You take care of my boy, you hear?" Javier nodded, promising more than words could hold. Diego, watching, felt a pang of courage. He texted his boyfriend, Miguel, a nurse who'd been his rock. "Come meet Ma tomorrow," he wrote. Leo, quieter, mentioned a poet he'd met at a reading, someone who saw him. The hospital room, once sterile, pulsed with love, raw and real. But a storm was brewing. Marla's doctor, a stern woman named Dr. Patel, delivered news that hit like a freight train. Marla's leukemia had mutated, resisting treatment. A clinical trial in Seattle offered hope, but it was experimental, costly, and far from guaranteed. The boys huddled, their faces grim. Caleb, the planner, calculated costs. Insurance wouldn't cover it. Diego cursed, his food truck barely breaking even. Leo's poetry didn't pay, Ezra's firefighter salary was stretched thin, and Noah's student loans loomed. They needed a miracle. The Portland rain didn't let up, mirroring the weight in the boys' hearts. Marla's condition deteriorated, her skin paler, her laughter rarer. Yet her spirit held firm, a lighthouse in their storm. The hospital room became their war room, where Caleb, Diego, Leo, Ezra, and Noah plotted to save her. The Seattle trial was their only shot, but the cost, $200,000 for a chance at 6 more months, was a mountain they couldn't climb alone. Caleb took charge, his social worker instincts kicking in. He scoured crowdfunding platforms, drafting a campaign that bared their story. A single black woman who'd adopted 5 boys no one wanted, now fighting for her life. He hesitated, hating to expose their pain, but Marla's nod gave him courage. "Tell the truth, baby," she whispered. "It's all we've got." By midnight, the campaign was live, photos of Marla with her boys, laughing at picnics, cooking in her cluttered kitchen, paired with their plea, "She saved us. Help us save her." Diego threw himself into action, parking his food truck at Portland's Saturday market. Between serving tacos, he shared Marla's story with customers, his charm masking his desperation. One regular, a queer couple named Sam and Riley, donated $500 on the spot, their eyes misty. "We get it," Sam said, gripping Diego's hand. "Family's everything." Diego's throat tightened. He saw Miguel in his mind, wishing he'd brought him sooner. Leo, meanwhile, organized a poetry slam at a local bookstore, dedicating it to Marla. His usually soft voice roared as he read about her love, her strength, her fight. The crowd, a mix of hipsters and activists, tossed bills into a donation jar, moved by his raw honesty. A young man lingered after introducing himself as Kai, the poet Leo had mentioned. Their hands brushed as Kai dropped $20 into the jar, a spark passing between them. Leo's heart raced, hope amid the fear. Ezra and Noah, the twins, tackled their own fronts. Ezra rallied his firefighter crew, who spread the word at the station. His captain, a gruff man named O'Malley, organized a charity car wash, the team scrubbing SUVs in the rain for Marla. Noah, the scholar, emailed professors and classmates, begging for connections to medical researchers. A professor linked him to a Seattle oncologist who offered to review Marla's case pro bono. It wasn't money, but it was progress. By week's end, the crowdfunding campaign had raised $50,000. Staggering, but far from enough. Social media buzzed with their story, amplified by Portland's tight-knit community. Strangers shared memories of Marla, the neighbor who'd designed free posters for a local shelter, the woman who'd tutored kids at the library. Her kindness had ripples, and now those ripples were returning. But time was cruel. Marla's fever spiked, her body too weak for the trial without stabilization. Dr. Patel was blunt. She needs to be stronger, or Seattle won't even consider her. The boys' hope flickered. Caleb, Diego, and Leo, their identities newly claimed, leaned into their partners for strength. Javier stayed late at the hospital, his barista shifts be damned. Miguel, Diego's nurse boyfriend, checked Marla's charts, explaining medical jargon to the family. Kai, though new to Leo, brought him coffee and quiet support, his presence a balm. One night, Ezra broke. He'd been the reckless one, always charging into danger, but Marla's fragility undid him. He stormed out of the hospital, punching a brick wall until his knuckles bled. Noah found him, sitting on a curb, rain soaking his jacket. "I can't lose her," Ezra sobbed. Noah, the thinker, had no answers, only a hug. "We won't," he said, voice shaking. "We'll find a way." The next morning, a breakthrough came. A local news station picked up Marla's story, airing a segment that went viral. Donations poured in, $10 from a barista, $1,000 from a retired teacher, $5 from a kid who'd saved his allowance. By evening, the fund hit $120,000. The boys wept, crowding Marla's bed, their hands linked. She smiled, too tired to speak but alive with pride. "My boys," she mouthed, her eyes shining. Yet the fight wasn't over. Marla needed to survive the week to even qualify for Seattle. Diego, restless, proposed a bold idea. A community rally at Pioneer Courthouse Square. "Portland shows up for its own," he said. "Let's ask them to show up for Ma." The brothers agreed, diving into plans. Caleb designed flyers, Leo wrote a speech, Ezra secured permits through his fire station contacts, and Noah rallied student groups. Diego's food truck would anchor the event, feeding the crowd. The rally took shape, but tensions simmered. Caleb and Diego clashed over logistics, their stress boiling over. Leo retreated into silence, overwhelmed. Ezra's temper flared, and Noah's endless research felt futile. Marla, sensing the fracture, called them to her bedside. "You're my heart," she said, her voice a thread. "Don't break it now." Her words reset them, reminding them why they fought. The rally day dawned crisp and clear. Hundreds gathered, holding signs, "Save Marla," "Love wins." Diego's food truck served free tacos, funded by Sam and Riley's donation. Leo's speech, raw and poetic, hushed the crowd, his love for Marla and Kai woven into every line. Caleb spoke next, his voice steady, sharing how Marla taught him to trust. Ezra and Noah stood together, thanking strangers who'd become family. The fund climbed to $180,000, close, but not enough. As the crowd dispersed, a woman approached Caleb. She was in her 60s, elegant, with a check in her hand. "Marla designed my daughter's wedding invitations years ago," she said. "She never charged me. This is for her." The check was for $25,000. Caleb froze, then hugged her, tears streaming. The trial was within reach. The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed, a stark contrast to the warmth of the rally still lingering in the boys' hearts. Marla's condition stabilized just enough. Dr. Patel gave the green light for Seattle. The crowdfunding fund, bolstered by the stranger's $25,000, hit $205,000, enough to cover the trial and travel. Caleb booked flights, Diego packed Marla's favorite quilt, Leo wrote a poem for her to carry, Ezra handled logistics, and Noah researched the trial's risks. They were a unit, moving with purpose, but fear gnawed at them. What if it wasn't enough? The Seattle clinic was a sleek, modern facility, its walls lined with hope and uncertainty. Marla, frail but defiant, gripped Caleb's hand as they wheeled her in. "Don't let me go, baby," she whispered. He squeezed back, promising silently. The trial involved brutal chemotherapy and an experimental drug, with a 40% chance of extending her life. The boys took turns staying with her, their lives on hold. Javier, Miguel, and Kai became fixtures, their presence anchoring the brothers. Days bled into weeks. Marla endured, her spirit a flame that refused to flicker out. Between treatments, she'd tease Diego about his cooking, ask Leo to read, or challenge Noah to a philosophical debate. Ezra, restless, paced the halls, while Caleb coordinated with doctors. The trial showed early promise. Marla's blood counts improved slightly, but side effects ravaged her. Nausea, fatigue, and pain became her constant companions. Yet she smiled for her boys, her love a shield against despair. One night, Ezra and Noah, the twins, finally faced their own truths. They'd watched their brothers come out, seen Marla's unwavering acceptance, and felt the weight of their own silence. In a quiet hospital cafeteria, Ezra spoke first. "I think I'm bi," he said, staring at his coffee. "There's this guy at the station, Jake." Noah nodded, his own confession spilling out. "I'm gay. Been talking to someone online. His name's Amir." They laughed, nervous but relieved, their bond as twins tightening. They told Marla the next day, her weak smile radiant. "My brave boys," she said. "Love who you love." The trial's midpoint brought a setback. Marla's fever spiked, her body rejecting a dose. The boys gathered, terrified, as Dr. Patel adjusted the protocol. Caleb, usually stoic, broke down in Javier's arms. Diego punched a wall, Miguel calming him. Leo wrote furiously, Kai reading his drafts. Ezra and Noah sat vigil, their new truths giving them strength. Marla pulled through, but the scare left scars. They couldn't lose her, not yet. Community support didn't fade. Portland's rally had sparked a movement, with donations still trickling in. A local artist painted a mural of Marla and her boys on a downtown wall, captioned "Family is Love." Strangers sent letters, sharing how Marla's story inspired them to reconnect with loved ones or come out. Caleb read each one to Marla, her eyes bright with tears. "I didn't know," she said. "I just loved you all." Diego, restless, organized a second event. a concert at a local park. He roped in musician friends, with Leo opening with poetry. Kai joined him on stage, their chemistry electric. Ezra's fire station crew volunteered as security, Jake among them, his glances at Ezra charged with possibility. Noah's university friends live-streamed the event, Amir watching from afar, texting support. The concert raised another $10,000, easing travel costs. Marla, too weak to attend, watched via video call, cheering hoarsely. As winter settled over Seattle, Marla's progress stalled. The trial's drug worked, but her body was tiring. Dr. Patel was honest. She's fighting, but time's short. The boys refused to accept it. Caleb researched alternative therapies. Diego cooked nutrient-rich meals. Leo's poetry became prayers. Ezra trained to stay strong, and Noah dug into medical journals. Their partners, Javier, Miguel, Kai, Jake, and Amir, formed a second family, their love a net holding the brothers up. One evening, Marla called them together. Her voice was a whisper, but her words carried weight. "I'm proud of you, all of you, for being you." She paused, catching her breath. "Promise me you'll keep loving, no matter what." They nodded, tears falling, hands linked. She smiled, her eyes tracing each face. Caleb's strength, Diego's fire, Leo's depth, Ezra's courage, Noah's mind. Her boys, her legacy. The trial's final phase loomed. Marla's counts were stable, but the drug's efficacy waned. The boys faced a choice. Continue, risking her comfort, or stop, cherishing her remaining time. They argued, tempers flaring, love clashing with fear. Caleb wanted to fight. Diego feared her suffering. Leo sought peace, Ezra action, Noah data. Marla, hearing them, made the call. "Take me home," she said. "I want to be with you, not machines." Back in Portland, Marla's bungalow became a sanctuary again. The boys transformed her living room into a makeshift hospital, with a rented bed, medical supplies, and Miguel's nursing expertise. Marla, though weak, seemed lighter at home, her laughter echoing as Diego burned cornbread or Ezra tripped over her quilt. The mural downtown grew into a pilgrimage site, with neighbors leaving flowers and notes. Marla's story had woven itself into Portland's heart. The boys balanced care with their lives. Caleb worked remotely, Javier helping with paperwork. Diego's food truck stayed parked, but he cooked for Marla, Miguel tasting his recipes. Leo wrote poetry by her bedside, Kai editing softly. Ezra took leave from the fire station, Jake visiting with coffee and quiet support. Noah, between classes, read to Marla, Amir joining via video calls. Their openness about their identities, 3 out, 2 newly honest, deepened their bond, Marla's acceptance their foundation. But death loomed. Marla's pain grew, managed by hospice care. She refused heavy sedatives, wanting clarity to see her boys. One afternoon, she asked for a family meeting. They sat around her, the room heavy with love and dread. "I need you to promise me something," she said, her voice thin but fierce. "Live big, love hard, don't let fear win." Each son nodded, their throats tight. She looked at Caleb, Diego, and Leo, their truths open, then at Ezra and Noah, their journeys just beginning. "You're enough," she said. "Always were." The community rallied again. The bookstore hosted a reading of Leo's poetry, with Kai reading alongside him, their voices entwined. Diego's food truck reopened for a day, donating proceeds to a local LGBTQ plus youth shelter in Marla's name. Ezra's fire station held a fundraiser, Jake helping organize. Noah's university class started a scholarship fund for foster kids, inspired by Marla. Caleb, ever the anchor, coordinated it all, Javier his steady hand. One night, Marla's breathing changed, shallow and slow. The boys gathered, their partners there, a circle of love. She woke briefly, smiling. "My boys," she whispered. "You're my home." She slipped away at dawn, the room silent but for their sobs. Caleb held Javier, Diego clung to Miguel, Leo leaned on Kai, Ezra gripped Jake's hand, and Noah, on a call with Amir, wept. They'd lost her, but she'd won. Her love had shaped them, unbreakable. Grief was a tidal wave. Caleb threw himself into work. Diego cooked obsessively. Leo stopped writing. Ezra ran miles to outrun pain, and Noah questioned everything. Their partners held them through it, a new family forged in loss. The mural became a memorial with candlelit vigils. Portland mourned Marla, but her boys mourned their world. Weeks later, a letter arrived from the Seattle clinic. The trial's drug, tested on Marla, showed promise for others. Her fight had saved lives she'd never meet. The boys read it together, tears mixing with pride. They decided to honor her with a foundation, Marla's Home, supporting foster kids and LGBTQ plus youth. Caleb led it, Diego fundraised, Leo inspired, Ezra protected, and Noah planned. Their partners joined, a testament to the family Marla built. Spring bloomed in Portland, but Marla's absence was a wound that didn't heal. The boys carried her in their choices, their loves, their fights. Marla's Home took root, its first event a community picnic at the park where they'd once laughed with her. Caleb spoke to a crowd of foster kids, his voice steady as he shared Marla's belief. "You're enough." Diego served food, Miguel at his side, their banter drawing smiles. Leo read a new poem, Kai's hand in his, their love a quiet strength. Ezra with Jake organized games, his laughter echoing Marla's. Noah, Amir visiting from out of state, handed out scholarships, his questions now answers. The foundation grew, fueled by Marla's legacy. Donations poured in, inspired by her story. The mural stood as a beacon, its colors brighter with each season. The boys, now men, faced their futures with courage she'd instilled. Caleb and Javier planned a life together. Diego and Miguel opened a cafe. Leo and Kai published a poetry collection. Ezra and Jake navigated their spark, and Noah and Amir dreamed of a shared path. Marla's love had been their map, guiding them through pain, identity, and loss. They'd come out, not just as gay or bi, but as men who loved fiercely, who fought for family, who lived without fear. Her death sentence had been their crucible, forging a bond that time couldn't break. At the picnic, they stood on the wooden bridge from years ago, the signpost still carved with "Love binds us, time heals." They held hands, their partners beside them, and felt her there, laughing, loving, eternal.